This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
I don't know if I've ever asked you, how do you feel about the NES?
The NES, I loved it. I mean, it is my second favorite of the retro gaming systems after
You want two
SNES.
excellent NES recommendations that you probably have never played before?
Absolutely.
Okay, one of them is called Journey to Silius. Have you heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
I think
not.
Sunsoft might be my favorite publisher for the NES.
I kind of agree with you. They have some amazing games.
So they have that Batman
really
game
cool.
I love. They have, I don't think I told you, but I bought like 10 Light Zapper games for the NES that I'd never played before because I have the CRT from Junt's NES. And it's really good technology. Like, it works so well. And I like that there's no crosshair, and so it's like that much more satisfying when you... But there are all these arcade shooter games for the NES that like have it all over Duck Hunt. Like, Duck Hunt's great. These are way better.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that almost for that cool accessory, the only game that most people ever played was Duck Hunt.
Because everybody had the accessory. All they needed was the additional game. So maybe it was hard to justify $50 purchases, $60 purchases for games that are really limited.
Yes, and the people look at what Duck Hunt was and they said, do I want to pay $50 for a game that's basically going to be a variation
Great though
of
it
this?
is. It would have been cool to... They should have done more double carts. You know, like you get a platformer and you get a Light Zapper game in the same.
Yeah, or kind of games that integrated them together in some way, either by alternating levels. You know, I don't know that there were any games that were like that. Were there any that you know of where you did some platforming and some light game
That's a good
action?
question. I know of a few games that the Light Zapper was optional, so you could play it with the controller. Did you know that? Have you heard of the game Smash TV? It's an arcade game, and it came to NES and stuff. Did you know that you can plug in two NES controllers? Because in the arcade it was twin sticks, so you were controlling I think two characters at once that were shooting everything, because it's like a top-down shooter. On the NES, you can plug in two NES controllers. You can turn them vertically, and you can use both D-pads vertically.
That is super cool. I have never heard of that. I didn't know that was a possibility.
All these little
That's
things
super cool.
that pop up. So anyway, Journey to Silius is a Sunsoft game. It's brutally hard, and so I recommend playing it with ROM saves or cheats. But it has, and Sunsoft had amazing soundtracks. It's the same person who wrote the music for Batman, and it plays really well. It's pretty short. It's pretty exciting. The boss battles are brutal. Just a good game, and it comes with if you have Switch and you have the NES, online service or whatever, you can actually they included it in that, which is unusual for like third-party games. So highly recommend that. Just as even just the soundtrack. Honestly, it's just a great soundtrack.
Now
the next one is a more serious recommendation because I really love it, and I'm going to go into a little bit of depth about why I love it. Felix the Cat.
I've heard of it. I've seen some playing of it. I know it's a fairly rare cartridge.
I don't know.
I think so.
I feel like I saw a YouTube video recently that was like, this is a good platformer that not a lot of people collect for, so maybe pick it up or whatever. I actually don't know. But it's Hudson Soft. And here's how it works. So it's it's your fairly standard platformer, but if you remember the Felix the Cat cartoon show,
I do.
Felix has a bag of tricks, and the bag of tricks have chaotic abilities and skills. So lends perfectly to a video game platformer. And the art style is very it just feels somehow like rudimentary 1920s animation that just fits right at home on the NES. The soundtrack's nothing to write home about, but the game mechanics are great because there are little Felix the Cat items, little faces of his, like coins, basically. If you get 10, a heart drops. You have to collect the heart. You don't just automatically get it. But if you get that heart, you get a power up. So you go from your a base ability, which might be his standard base ability is to punch. He has a robot punching boxing glove. And then you get one where he has a top hat and a magician's wand, and he can attack with that. So it's a little bit of a short range item. And then if you do another 10 and get another heart, he is in a bumper car. And the bumper car is a little bit longer range. And then his fourth ability finally is a tank, and that's longer range. So you get longer and longer range attacks, and you, as long as you don't get hit, you keep these power-ups. And then if you continue to get hearts, you just get more one-ups. They just are one-ups from there. But that's not all, because there's water levels and there's flying levels. And the water levels and the flying levels both have their own unique series of power-ups. So there's a lot of game variety for an NES game. There's 8 worlds, I want to say. It's not quite the same level of adventure and dynamic as a Mario 3 or something. It does, but it's pretty damn good. Like we talked about our top 20 NES games last time we did a podcast. And I'm like, Felix belongs in there, man. It's a really fun time. If you just want and it's like, Journey to Silius is like this too. It's just the difficulty ruins these games a lot of the time. And Felix doesn't have this problem. It's the perfect.
Oh, that's really good.
I would liken it to maybe Kirby's Adventure levels of difficulty.
Which is reasonable, but not, excessive, certainly. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's just a really clever little use of the NES, I would say. And then they have bags of tricks like way up in the sky, and so if you can find those are like they have power-ups galore, so you can kind of and then when you have your final battle, they give you tons of power-ups so that all you have to do is kind of like maintain them for a few seconds because you're getting kind of rained on by attacks. It's a fun game, and I have it playing in the background right there, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.